Welcome into a Wednesday Hump Day edition of Daily Face-Off Live. Tyler Rumchuk, Carter Hutton with you, as we always are. And as always, we're over on the DFO YouTube looking for your inbox questions. Drop them in with the hashtag AskDFO. Steve Peters is going to join us for our big segment. It's the reason why. The title of the show is about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Petey will give us some insight into some of their struggles, both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. As always, the show, a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Huts, how you doing?
I'm doing well, buddy. It feels like it's the start of November, but every game is so tight and overtimes and shootouts. We've had a lot of fun so far this year, buddy. I'm off to a good start here. Into my second month of working full-time media, buddy. You've been holding my hand well here. Let's keep it rolling.
I mean, you just said every game seems so tight. Every single team in the Eastern Conference still has a 500 or better points percentage, which is just absolutely insane. And as we kick things off with our first topic, it's jarring to look at the standings and see Washington and Florida sitting in the bottom, 15th and 16th in the East by overall points. And I mean, even by points percentage, the Capitals don't move up much more. The Panthers actually stay in the basement. And I don't want this to feel like we're doing some sort of clickbaity overreaction thing that the Panthers and Capitals are in trouble or whatever, because it's November 5th. And as I said, the East is so close that if either one of those teams, much like Tampa Bay did a week ago, if either one of those teams goes and wins 3 or 4 in a row, which they're both very much capable of, then all of a sudden they're in a playoff spot or close to it, and nobody's really freaking out. But the one thing that I will point to with both the Capitals and the Panthers, Huts, is that they're both battling through some pretty tough injury issues right now. Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to miss significant time for the Capitals. That was announced earlier in the week. And in Florida, we already know the long list of names that won't be there for a while still. Tkachuk, Barkov, just to name a couple. So when you consider the injuries that each of these teams are fighting through, how average they've looked so far this season, are you actually concerned about either one of the Panthers or the Caps?
Maybe a little more about the Caps than I am the Panthers, because I guess you've earned the right to have a longer leash when it comes to worries, right? When it comes to being where they're at, they're still in 500 with the bodies that they've missed. I guess I worry about slotting when I look at this team. When you start to think about guys being out, and obviously losing Pierre-Luc Dubois is a big piece, and Rasmus Sandin, who's kind of come into his own since leaving Toronto and ending up on the Washington Capitals. For a team that I think overachieved, and you look at Ovechkin's struggles so far this year compared to what he's been, able to produce last year in the whole run. And, does that honeymoon phase of, the goal scoring title wear off, and where does this team sit? So it is concerning. They're getting good goaltending again. I think Logan Thompson has been a great story. I think he was the guy for me coming into this season. Could he repeat it with the Olympic break coming? And obviously he was the big story about not being named to the Four Nations. So it's a little more concerning, I think, of Washington Capitals, just because that Metro division, you really want to have a good spot in there so you don't end up a wild card team and have to cross over and play a heavy hitter in the Atlantic. So it should be good. But and for the Florida Panthers, how do you replace Barkov? How do you replace Tkachuk? Kulikov, the minutes he takes up. But again, it's Florida. I'm not really too worried about them.
Yeah, and all they need to do really is, I think, stay 500, get Matthew Tkachuk back, and then they'll be able to piece things together. The reason I agree with you on Washington is just, I looked at last year, and when I joined the sheet before the start of the season, one of the bold predictions I gave Jeff Merrick was that I actually thought the Capitals, so I think we're plus 170, plus 180 to miss the playoffs. I was like, that's not a terrible bet when you looked at how many teams around the East appeared to have, improved over the offseason. And also just last year, everything went well for the Caps. 44 goals from Alex Ovechkin at his age, the goal chase, all the emotions that went into that. It was kind of I still think you can get 25 or 30 from Ovi, but I don't think you're getting 44. Tom Wilson scored 33. That's a career year for him. He shot nearly 20%. That's way more than he shot any other year. Alexei Protas, I mean, is he a 30-goal scorer or is he a 20-goal guy? There were just reasons to be concerned, I think, about that Capitals team. What's actually kind of funny is that Wilson and Protas are actually still scoring just fine. Wilson's on a 40-goal pace. Protas is still on a 30-plus goal pace. But Ovi has 2 goals on the year. None of them have come on the power play either. Ryan Leonard has been fine. He's got 6 points. He's got 3 goals. But I think a lot of people pointed to him and were like, oh, he's going to be a play-driving top 6 player for him. Looked at all the numbers coming out of college, and it was just kind of I don't know. I felt like there were reasons to be a little bit more concerned about this Washington Capitals team. And so far this year, I think that's all coming to fruition. Logan Thompson's still been fine, but yet they aren't racking up a whole bunch of wins. Like the fact you have a goalie with a 935 save percentage and your record on the year is 6-5-1. What happens when Logan Thompson comes back down and even just starts playing like a 915 goalie Huts? Like the wins might slow down.
Yeah, and again, and I think you forecasting that with Jeff on a show isn't a far bet, right? Because this was a team that even coming into the year was the outlier. So when we looked at the Metro Division last season, nobody really had the New York Rangers out, right? And I think Washington really stepped into that role, and it was a lot of success. So there is more that comes when there is expectations too, right? And that's something that is important in this situation where last year, it felt like they were playing with the house's money a little bit. The pressure wasn't really there. And now all of a sudden, now these expectations are high. Returning players that are coming off career years is always a little bit concerning when you look at a team trying to do it back-to-back years. So Logan Thompson's been a great story, but I don't see sustainability rolling at a 930 for the rest of the year either, too, Ty. So it is concerning.
Yeah, we threw a poll in the YouTube chat. Who should be more concerned? 75% of you agreeing with Huts and I, saying the Capitals should be more concerned than the Florida Panthers. From the bottom to the top, the Montreal Canadiens had a great comeback last night. It ends in a shootout loss to the Philadelphia Flyers, but still, the Montreal Canadiens have points in 10 of 13. They are first in the Eastern Conference. And then you go out west, 9 wins on the year for the Utah Mammoth, tied for the most in the Western Conference, tied for the most in the entire NHL with a handful of other teams. So I want to ask you a pick'em question, Huts. The Habs or the Mammoth? We're still about 10 days from updating our Stanley Cup inner and outer circle picks for the year. But Utah and Montreal, who are you maybe buying a bit more Stanley Cup stock on? Because neither one of them were in our inner or outer circles a month ago.
You know what? This is a tough pick for me. You know, I think both teams are ready to continue to grow, to continue to get better and where they're at. But for me, I'm going to go with the Utah Mammoth as a team that I'm going to buy on. I just think they're ready with their maturity, that extra depth that they have when you think about Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Lawson Krause, some guys that have a little more lag in their game. They've been around a bit longer, where the Habs are one of the younger teams in the league. And I think that may start to wear them out as the season goes on. So it's been a great story. I think the Utah Mammoth, you look at that, Nick Schmaltz finding the back of the net last night. And I feel like their game is a little more versatile. You go into Buffalo last night, who's a desperate hockey team, right? 5-4-4 after last night's overtime loss. And they just play a shutdown game, right? They were the better team. Vejmelka wasn't very busy. So many times we look at this team, they are busy, and Vejmelka is a difference maker. Last night it was 18 shots against. Clayton Keller finds a way to win the game in overtime. So they just look like a more complete team. And when I think about them and Andre Tournier and Bill Armstrong, what they've built is they've built a team of, you know, their top 12 forwards. Everybody buys into playing a certain style of play. Yes, your goal scorers are going to be more creative in the offensive zone, but I just see them more as a complete hockey team than I do the Montreal Canadiens, Ty.
How much does goaltending play a factor in that? Because you look in Montreal, and I mean, to be fair, and like Montembeault's numbers have not been good this year, but you can spin that as a glass half full, glass half empty kind of thing. And Pat, feel free to flash up these numbers. Like Dobish has been excellent so far, and you can look and go, okay, well, Dobish isn't going to be that all year. But then I could flip it and say, well, Montembeault's not going to be this bad all year. When Montembeault figures it out, maybe that's a way for Montreal to kind of keep this heater going, is that when Dobish cools, hopefully it just lines up perfectly with a Montembeault heater.
Yeah, and he's been kind of the topic of conversation when you look at Montreal, right? He's been that, you know, he's been an eyesore a bit in the net last year. And last year he was so good, right? He played 62 games. He went to the Four Nations Cup. And then during the first round of the playoffs against the Washington Capitals, he gets hurt. And he was always a guy that hasn't always been the biggest fitness freak, right? You see him, and I think he's growing into his game. But what I do think the natural progression is, after a season like that, there's a bit of decompression throughout the summer, right? So you're wound tight like a coil. You're almost in this flow state where games are coming at you consistently. And then all of a sudden it's a big break. And now all of a sudden, again, expectations in a tough market, and he's off to a bad start. I don't think this is concerning in the sense of, I think he plays his way out of this. He's a good goalie. But how do they platoon these two moving forward, where maybe Dobish is hot, you give him some more starts to try to get Montembeault going? Because last night was a tough one. You're down 3-0. You fight back. When Demidov scored that power play goal last night for the Habs, I thought the roof was going to go off the building. And they still found a way to lose that game. So it's a tough one for Montembeault, but the Habs have a lot of upside. It's just a matter of getting both goalies going at the right direction.
We'll throw another poll in the YouTube chat. Ask the people who they're buying on, the Habs or the Mammoth. We'll maybe get to those results a little bit later on. But a couple of viral moments from last night in the NHL. It was a spicy night. There were goals that kind of left you wincing and shaking your head. And one of them came in the Nashville, Minnesota game where the Preds tie up the game with like 0.3 seconds to go. They send it to overtime in Huts. The game ends on this goal by Marcus Johansson. With the net off, he flips it to where the net would be, and they count it as a goal, saying that Saros intentionally knocked the net off its moorings, and that if he hadn't have done that, Johansson would have scored. I have a take on this. Again, the rule book, for this segment, I'll say, fuck the rule book. Just vibes. Should this goal be counting?
No way, no way. So it was Justus Annunen was in net, and it was a bigger goalie. So he comes across in the play, and as a goalie, I'm like, I love the gamesmanship of this, right? It comes across to Kaprizov, you're roasted. He fake shot, passes it. He pushes the net off, and I agree. If Marcus Johansson gets this puck on his forehand and it goes in the net, it's a goal. But it doesn't. It hits the side of the net, and then he pulls it to his backhand and puts it in. This is an insane goal call for me. Again, I'm with you on the rule book on this one. I do not understand how this is called a goal. I think this is a penalty. You can call it whatever you want, but this is not a goal, and I totally disagree with this. And again, he pushed the net off. Give him 2 minutes. Give Minnesota a 4-on-3 and a chance to win it the right way in overtime.
I'm with you 100%. Like, if this first chance here that we're about to see on the highlight, if this first chance goes in, goal no matter what, even if it doesn't go into the net, like if it goes into the area, it's a good goal. But if Annunen doesn't push off the net, Johansson doesn't get this puck back on his stick. Like, the momentum of the net spinning and it hitting the angle it did is why it spits back out to them. So again, the call on the ice was a goal, which I feel like always has an impact on these things. And again, the rule book being the rule book, but like, this is very much up for interpretation, whether or not he actually would have scored if the net was on the whole time. Like, he would have had to go behind the net to get this puck if the net stayed on its moorings.
That's my next thought was, if this net isn't spinning tight, does that puck bounce back out to Marcus Johansson? Right? Like, it just doesn't, it's just something that doesn't happen. It's a crazy play. I think it's a penalty. He clearly pushes the net off, which is a good gamesmanship play in my boat. Like, if you're roasted, it'd be the same idea as a guy having an open net on a broken play and you taking him down knowing, well, I'd rather concede the penalty than the goal. So I don't know. This is one obviously left up to interpretation, but I got to feel like we're on the side of the majority here.
Yeah, I think so. And even in the chat here, I'm looking, a lot of you are saying it should have been a penalty, but not a goal. And yeah, it was wild, pun intended, I suppose, on that one. Also, can we just do a little fashion police here? How about those Minnesota Wild throwbacks? Those things were tremendous. I love that look, going back to like the early 2000s kind of vibe.
Yeah, it is. It was a rough jersey in its time, but I feel like sometimes those jerseys, when you see them now, modern little throwback, it was beautiful. And obviously a big win and another tough loss. And the Preds Steven Stamkos tied that game with 0.3 seconds left too. So another heartbreaking defeat for the Nashville Predators.
Last one from last night that I wanted to touch on was this play between Nikita Zadorov and Matthew Schaefer. Maybe a little welcome to the NHL moment for Matthew Schaefer, as Zadorov was just all over him, pinning him up to the boards here. And I mean, to the Islanders' credit, they were very quick to jump in and defend their 18-year-old superstar.
Yeah, this could have been the opposite, right? This could have happened and we would have been sitting here criticizing the New York Islanders. And again, I think with the way Patty Waugh coaches and the way he's played, thank goodness they jumped in there right away. But what I don't like about this play is the first one's fine, right? He drives him in the boards. Then the second one, when he's on his knees in a defenseless position, Zadorov, it's a cheap shot. And I feel like that is stuff we don't need in the game. And granted, it's Matthew Schaefer, arguably the biggest up and coming star we have in the league. This is just a chance to hurt someone. And as an ex-player, I feel like there's a time and a place to, cause impact and make something happen. And I don't think this is the spot for it.
Yeah, I think it definitely did it got close to going over the line. I feel like it kind of did. Zadorov was sharing the DMs he got, which not great. But the other thing I'll say about this is like the shitty DMs and all that, Huts, I feel like that comes with being an athlete now. Like, everyone knows it's wrong. Everyone knows that there are nameless and faceless accounts out there who will say heinous shit to you. Like, it comes with the territory. You and I mean, I get it. And all I do is sit in my basement in front of a microphone for 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, it is what it is. And I was in that situation. I had the
Yeah.
social media, and at times it can be a bit daunting. And again, you could read social media. I always used to joke, it'd be like you get 10 good ones, but it was that one bad one that would really get you, right? And I think that's part of the job, and it's the cross we bear. Then don't open up your social media, Zadorov. Deal with it. If you're going to act that way, it's going to come your way.
Exactly. Again, it's unfortunate, and I don't love using this phrase, but it's kind of like, yeah, it comes with the territory, man. You just have to live with it a little bit. But I digress. Let's get to our big segment for the day. It's the Film Room with Steve Peters, and it's brought to you by Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Before, during, or after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Steve Peters from ESPN and Inside the Coaches Room joins us, as he does every Wednesday on the show. Petey, we're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs, another one of those teams in the East who's caught in this kind of early season malaise. And for Toronto, there are a number of areas that you could point to, but where I want to kick things off is at 5-on-5. They cannot keep the puck out of their net. 28th in the NHL in goals against per game. What's leading to this ugly, ugly stat line for the Leafs?
There's a lot of things, and I know when you talk to Carter Hutton, goaltenders get the finger pointed at them first, and in Toronto, it's part of the issue. I mean, with Woll being gone, you look at Stolar's numbers, their goals against is 312, save percentage is 896. He's not even at a 900, and his numbers last year were so much better. He was a 926, and his goals against is 214. So yes, they are not getting the goaltending they got a year ago, and Joseph Woll, they need him to return, and they need to return healthy and in the right frame of mind. Hopefully that happens soon for Toronto. But the mistakes go way beyond that. It goes into turnovers. It goes into their ability to defend the rush. There are so many problems, and the best way to look at it is to show it on video. So let's talk with their turnovers. And turnovers are a huge problem for this team. You can see on this play, there's better plays going up through the middle of the ice and turns the puck over. But now it's about the read. And it's how do you read this play? What is the most dangerous play? Riley's got to beat his check off of the wall. And they've got to get the defend it all the way to the back of the net. And this is one that really bothers me. This is an offensive team. They're going to get offensive rushes. They got 4 men up on the rush. Oliver Ekman-Larsson sees that there's going to be a line change. He's got to protect the middle of the ice. Oliver's got to protect the middle of the ice instead of dives in for the puck, tries to keep the puck in the offensive zone, and now they're defending a breakaway. You've got to defend the middle of the ice on these turnovers. And now, again, it's another turnover through the middle of the ice, through the neutral zone. But it's not all in the D. You've got to have forwards back so you can make that pass. So there's someone to pass to. Then here's the next problem, puck watching. Look at Nyes and Tavares as they come back into the zone. They don't ever turn their head to see the danger coming in behind them. Nyes is in the corner, and there's danger in front. He was the first forward back. He has to stop. You got 2D behind the goal line, and another goal goes in 5-on-5. Turnovers are a big problem. And when you talk about turnovers in the offensive zone, well, now you got to defend. You know, when you've got your forwards trapped and New Jersey's coming at you, you can't pinch. You can't go in there. Not only you cannot pinch, you can't knock over your own teammate. Gives up a 4-on-1. This is not Leaf hockey. It's not smart hockey. It's dangerous hockey at the offensive blue line. You can't play like that. And you talk about how they're doing off of the rush. This is how aggressive they are. Buffalo leaves the zone. 2 forwards leave the zone. So where's the third forward? You got to recognize danger and you got to stay above the forwards that have left the zone. It's a 3-on-2. How does a controlled breakout turn into a 3-on-2? Defenseman's got to take his check all the way back to the net. He doesn't. You got to block the pass going through. He doesn't. And again, leaves it all on the goaltender with a man in front of the net. Again, this read of the rush off this forecheck. Domi just drifts. He's got to stay above his check. And now again, from a controlled forecheck, look at Joshua. Just stay above your guy. Protect the middle of the ice. Not only does he not do that, he misses the check again as the opponent goes by him. And again, you're outnumbered. You get to the blue line, you're outnumbered again. There's confusion. Defense pointing, forwards pointing. We know there's a problem on the outside lane. Nobody's going to take him. and the puck just goes in the back of the net. And then we got to talk about their defensive zone coverage. This is a huge problem. They are focused on the puck. This is a team that wants the puck and wants to get the puck going back the other way. You see Lorentz in that spot. He's got to defend this and get into a shooting lane. Never turns his head once, never looks, not aware of what's going on behind him. And again, leaves his goaltender out to dry. Talk about the confusion in the defensive zone. That concerns me. You have 3 players down low. And right now, Riley's got to go. Go to Kane. Go. Look who goes to Kane. Nick Roy, who's coming from the other side of the ice. Riley stays on him. Then Roy stays here. Everything's fine. But because you drifted around, now everybody's got to cover for that mistake. Roy gets back to the front of the net. You've got the box out in front. Look at Kane. All in front of it. You've covered the strong side of the ice very well. Leave the weak side open, and Kane's got to tap in from the back end. And their defensive zone coverage, you're not winning races. You're not winning battles. You're not hard on pucks. They were closest to this puck, and they got 2 Predators got to the puck first, and they just not doing the job defensively. You look like you're in good shape here. Everything's covered. But again, you double up on the puck here. You get focused on the puck. And when you do that, you leave openings. He should have been there, but he's not. Now the defense has to recover. And 2 players in front of the goaltender all by himself. Again, poor defensive zone coverage. And those mistakes, from turnovers to poor rush reads to lost foot battles to poor D zone coverage, and it puts them where they are in the 5-on-5 goals against. This team has to be better than this. They were 3rd best in the season last year at 5-on-5 defending. It has just fallen off the rails this year for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
PD, I have a little PTSD from that video session. I feel like I'm in a bad one after a bad string here, but it seems like controllable things, right? I think a lot is communication. A lot is, puck watching, things that they can control. And on the other side of it, that's a little effort versus execution. And when I talk about that, when I talk about execution, I talk about their power play, which really isn't making up any ground for a team that is known for scoring. Obviously, they've lost a player with Mitch Marner, who's a 100-point guy, but their power play ranks 30th in the NHL right now. So whatever ground they're losing 5-on-5, how do they make it back up on the power play here?
Yeah, this is an area they got to be better. And unfortunately for them, Nylander misses 3 games. Riley misses a game. So you've got 30% of your games and you're missing your core of your top unit. But there are a lot of things going wrong with this power play as well. And you shouldn't be there with the talent they have on this power play. They are good enough that they should be able to make up the play 5-on-5 on their power play. And this team is just too good on the power play to let that happen. And let's go to the video and see some of the things that are causing problems for them on the power play. And we got to start with Mitch Marner. You have to. Mitch Marner got 33 power play points last year. He got 61% of the power play goals he was in on. He gets shots through from the point. He was able to make those quick plays. Again, he's able to make plays at the net. And Nyes in front of the net was a beast in front of the net. He was winning battles in the blue paint. Here he is again last season, winning battles in the blue paint. Here he is this year. And you go to him this year, and he's getting defended. He's getting pushed out of the spot. People know that he's good there, and they're pushing him out of the way. That's a problem for this team. Execution has been horrific. They're not making plays that they should make. They're trying to make plays through sticks, and they're not connecting on those. And again, you're looking for plays, trying to get through 3 sticks, looking for that perfect play. They got to get more shots on net than they're getting right now. And again, more shots into sticks, not getting pucks through. And then this one bothers me. This is Nylander and Matthews on their offsides. And this is from last year, where you see Matthews off of the right, you see Nylander off of the left. These 2 guys are absolutely elite one-time shooters on the power play when they are on the correct sides. This is a problem for the penalty killers. Who are you going to cover? You can't cover everybody on the ice. But now you got to go to see what they're doing this year. And here's with Domi. Domi's on the one-time side. I like Max Domi, but Max Domi's not a scoring threat like Matthews. Now Matthews is on his offside as he's coming downhill. That gives the penalty killers time to adjust, because he's not getting that shot off quickly on the one-timer. Here's Nylander and Matthews both on the wrong side. Again, coming downhill, Matthews can beat a goalie from there. But when you have that one-time shot, the penalty killers don't have time to react. And it's over and over again this year. We see the 2 of these guys on their offside, and it gives the penalty killers just that little extra second of time to react and get into the right position. You can see here on that shot by Riley, nobody in front of the net. The shots are getting blocked. They're not getting shots through like they did a year ago. They're putting shots into shin pads. They're not getting the right shot opportunities that they did a year ago. All of things combined are giving this team problems on the power play. Now, they're going to get better. The shooting percentage is poor. Nyes is down. Tavares is down. Matthews is down. all of them are down on their power play shooting percentage. It's going to get better. They're getting opportunities like this, like Tavares in front of the net, and you can see Matthews on the back door. This is normally a tap in for him. They're not going. It's going to get better for Toronto. The players are just too good. They're going to get better on the power play. Their shooting percentage is going to pick up. And when everybody is healthy and used to each other, it is going to improve. Now, will it be as good as it was with Marner on the top? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, he's absolutely elite at delivering the puck from the top of the zone. So it's going to get better. It's just how much better is the question.
So, and I agree with you. Like, I also think it's tough when you've been on the same power play unit for how many years would those guys have been together? 4 or 5 years. And now all of a sudden you're trying to basically learn a new language here without Marner. The power play should be fine. Is it fair to say then that it's the 5-on-5 play and the 5-on-5, discipline structure that could be what sinks the Leafs if anything does?
It's funny because luckily for them, they're first in 5-on-5 scoring. So their goal differential 5-on-5 is actually in the green, which is surprising for a team that gives up that many goals 5-on-5. It really does come down to defending. And I think Woll coming back, and unfortunately without Tanev again, and I think that has been an issue. But these guys got to play better. You're talking about veteran players like Riley and Oliver Ekman-Larsson have got to make better plays back there. You've got to get the puck out of the zone more quickly. And unfortunately, Toronto's thinking offense, they're thinking speed. That is their game. That is their DNA. And sometimes when you play that way and you're thinking offense all the time, the defense lacks. And I think they're going to have to put more of a focus on defense, staying above their opponent, and maybe taking some of those risks offensively out of their game so that they can defend better. Because honestly, we all know it. You win championships by defending and being a better defending team. You still need to score. But if you defend like this is going to be a really short playoff season for the Toronto Maple Leafs unless they shore up their defending.
Yeah, I'm just looking. You said the 5-on-5 scoring, even strength points in the NHL. They have 3 of the top 5 in the whole league. Nylander's 1, Tavares is 2. Then it goes Scheifele, McKinnon, Matthew Knies at 5. Like the scoring's there at 5-on-5, which almost makes the power play stuff even more puzzling. But anyways, PD, that was a tremendous breakdown. YouTube chat loved it. PD will have a full breakdown. How long is the full breakdown? Like 25 minutes on
it's
on
20, just over 20 minutes. Just over 20 minutes. It gets pretty deep. So if you're a big hockey nerd and you want to see X's and O's, check out Inside the Coach's Room.
Video don't
love
lie.
It. Petey, thanks for doing this. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you next week.
All right, Huts, moving along to our daily face-off inbox question, #AskDFO. We've been talking about some struggling teams, some teams who have been outperforming expectations. It is November now, and that prompted the question of, is there a team in the league who you are looking at to make an early season trade? But here's why, if you're someone who loves trades and transactions, here's why I'll throw cold water on that. There are some teams. Anaheim has a ton of cap space. Pittsburgh could do something if they wanted to try bolster that forward group and, continue this hot start to the year. With 2 problems. One, everyone in the East is so close that it takes 2 to tango. If you're a team who's looking to add something, you need to find a team that's looking to sell something. And outside of, I guess, Calgary, I don't think there's anyone out there.
Yeah, I guess Calgary would be the team that's maybe looking to be a seller here. Again, it's just so early. And again, the East, you look at the standings in the East and you have the Florida Panthers at 6-1 in last place with Washington, which is, you're 2 wins away from being in the playoffs, right? So it is a weird dynamic. And again, teams for me to watch are going to be Buffalo. What are they going to do in the next little bit as we look at, Tuck and some players that are expiring there? Are those players that move on? But again, I feel like it's a little bit early, but I think this next month will really tell you. Again, American Thanksgiving, we'll see what you got at that point.
The other thing, and this will pop up way more around the trade deadline than now, the fact that the NHL closed the double retention loophole and you can't use a middleman to keep 50% of the salaries. I'm looking at some of the teams on Puckpedia with the fewest amount of cap space. Edmonton, Tampa, Colorado, New Jersey only has 600,000. These teams that probably would love to add, even Vegas only has 1.29 million. These teams that would probably love to make a big splash at some point down the line. In years past, you could go look at an $8 million player, give up a draft pick, get a middleman involved, get that cap hit all the way down to $2 million by the time you actually get the guy. This year, you're going to need $4 million in cap space to afford him. It'll be really, really hard for contending teams to acquire rental players at the deadline, which is a shame. But anyways, we have plenty of time this year to do trade talk. For now, let's get to our daily bets brought to you by Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. at Bet365. Matthew Schaefer hit for me. Brock Faber missed for me. I see Oilers money line for Pat. They blew another 2-0 lead, lost in a shootout to the Dallas Stars. And Huts, you were the victim of a Pyotr Kochetkov season debut shutout. That's tough.
How do the Rangers get shut out again? Like a guy getting his first game. Like, I guess I'm the sucker that took that bet, but come on, New York. This is just, I couldn't imagine being a Rangers fan right now, going to games, a season ticket holder. I don't know the last time they've seen a goal at home. This has been a rough go this season so far at home for them.
Speaking of rough go, I am clearly in last place in our daily bets challenge. And man, just some tough breaks for me on the shot prop front, but I will not stop betting them. So my picks today are, and these are, I mean, one name that I can't believe I'm wagering my money on, but Philip Kurashev has hit this number in 5 straight games for the San Jose Sharks, and it's only minus 140, so it's a very juicy one to throw in a parlay with Dylan Holloway, who has hit in 4 of 5, but is coming off a miss. So I like Holloway to bounce back. I like Kurashev to keep his hot streak going. Again, betting these low shot totals, I just have faith in my system that eventually I will go on a heater. Plus 175. Pat, what are you doing today?
Yeah, well, I thought the Oilers were doing pretty good yesterday with the 2-0 lead, but I guess a 2-goal lead is the worst lead to have in Oilers hockey right now. So unfortunately, that didn't hit for me. I'm going to stick with a simple money line again tonight. Mammoth still rolling. Toronto, as we just talked about, still trying to find themselves a little bit. So at plus 130, I really like the money line for the Mammoth. What about you, Huts?
I am taking Connor Bedard 2+ points here. I think that Vancouver coming home has a lot of pressure on them. I think this Hawks team is generating. I think his confidence is high, and I look for him to get on the board early and often. I don't know if we're going to see Demko yet. I was trying to get confirmed on who's in the pipes, but I like Connor Bedard trending in the right direction right now.
Connor Bedard, 4 multi-point efforts in his 13 games so far this season. Those are our daily bets for Bet365. Wanted to wrap up the show with a little bit of garbage time Huts. And how about this nasty little shootout goal from Leon Draisaitl? It was in a losing effort. I'm sure you have some sympathy for Casey DeSmith. That's one of those where it's like, how do you stop a guy like Draisaitl if he's got that trick in his bag?
Oh, it's nuts, right? Again, especially when he's on his forehand, right? He has so much range to get you out and push you over to your blocker side right here as that puck comes over. But you watch as he anchors his right heel. And for that, that's a little anchor. I mean, you see his heel drive into the ground. What it does as a player is it pushes your momentum back the other way. So he anchors his heel here, and you're toast. It's a tough play. What a goal, a beauty. He had and the shot that he made during the game to score was insane too. There was no space there. So again, I feel for Casey DeSmith, but as the backup, you get tough starts, and he came out on the right side of this one.
Yeah, I did some digging into some of the numbers because shootouts are way up this year, and a little bit of an inexact science because I just kind of ballparked the first month of the season, so it might be off by a few games. But last year, through the first 30 days of the NHL season, we had roughly 10 games go to a shootout. This year, we are all the way up to 21 Huts, twice as many games going to a shootout. And I don't know how you felt about it as a player, but I just still can't wrap my head around why the league won't go to a 10-minute 3-on-3 overtime and just increase the number of games ended in OT.
Yeah, I think as a player and a fan and on this side of it, the overtime is just way more exciting, right? It's just something that the game, you see how skilled the players are. And I think that's one thing that overtime is so great for, the speed and the skill of what happens 3-on-3. And again, I think if you extended it by a few minutes, you'd probably eliminate a lot of those shootouts where, shootouts were fun in the sense where as a goalie, I had my moment, right? I had a chance to make a save, to win a game where it was almost like, that was the only chance where you see goalies have celebrations. So I thought that was unique, but hockey skill on display. I think nothing beats 3-on-3 overtime time.
Were you a guy who would, drop to one knee, blocker fist pumps when you won in a shootout?
No, I wasn't too crazy. I think just the odd fist pump. I remember I had one against New Jersey when I was in St. Louis where I made a glove save to end it. And I kind of held it up in the air. And even that was a little bit too cocky for my skill level.
I love it. I have one more stat actually to throw to the people since I did the research. If you include just games that have gone past regulation, last year through a month of the year, we had 44 games that just made it to overtime. This year, we are all the way up to 60 games. So again, OT games are up a little bit. Shootouts are up a lot. And again, I don't think anyone except for, I guess, maybe. But even so, the argument that always gets thrown against extending OT Huts is that, the players, it's more taxing on the players and all of this. But if you're a star player in the NHL, don't you want your overtime moments? Like, why do you, the competitive side of you, why do you want games going to a shootout?
Well, I also think it hurts the goalies more than it hurts the players, because if you get scored on an overtime, it still counts against your stats, and there's a higher percentage chance you're going to get scored on 3-on-3 than you would 5-on-5. And
Sure.
The vice versa of that is for a player, if you're a star, there's better chance of getting more points with more time at 3-on-3. So I think it errs in the side of the players, whereas a goalie, it was the worst. You have a great stat line, you've played great, and then you go to overtime and some guy scores a 2-on-0 backdoor goal and you had no chance on. So I do think it might be something that skews the numbers a bit, but as for the players, I don't see why you wouldn't want it.
Yeah, someone in the chat goes, half of those are Colorado. And yes, Colorado has been going to OT a ton this year. They have 5 OT losses already on the season, which is crazy. Montreal has 5 OT wins, or OT or shootout wins as well. Also, Huts, we'll wrap on this from J-Rock, who is a Blues fan in our chat. He goes, dude, I remember that. That was awesome. He remembers your shootout celebration.
Yeah. You know what? It was actually funny because there was a crazy save. It was actually on Marcus Johansson, who I had a chance to play with, where I went out to handle a puck and like mishandled it, and I had to go back in the net, and I just kicked my pad out on the goal line. So the Devils cleared the ice. They were celebrating. They went to review it, and I got my pad on it before it went in, and then we held on to win in the shootout. So it's one that definitely distinctly I remember for sure.
All right, love it. We went long today, but that's because PD was excellent. So look for him on Inside the Coaches Room. Everybody in the YouTube, great stuff. Tomorrow, our insider, Dave Pagnotta, is going to join us. Maybe we'll get some trade stuff out of Pagnotta tomorrow in our big segment. But enjoy the hockey tonight. Have a good Wednesday. We'll see you all right back here tomorrow, noon Eastern. Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.